Cheyenne and I took a down day today. We've been in bed basically most of the day, which is great. I've taken a lot of time to just be with myself, like be present, not get into my head too much. Um, Sometimes just in silence, and sometimes watching the videos that I watch or that are part of my loop list that I sometimes add to. Toward the end of the day, I was listening to something and had this burst of uh, impatience with myself. After kind of talking through it and thinking through it, just that want for acknowledgement that I'm somewhere, that I've gotten somewhere, that I'm advancing in some way or on a certain level. Um, is there sometimes. Sometimes when I'm in the moment, when I'm just there with myself, there's no problem. There's no need for anything. There's no self. There's just the experience and it's just fine. There's nothing. But in this flare moment, I kind of got to this place of, and this is what I keep hearing, the need for radical self-acceptance, acceptance of the fluctuation, that there is no landing, and there's no definition that's going to be found. And there's nothing to claim, no ground to claim. There's a link to one of the videos that I was listening to. And after a few times of listening to it, I heard it in a new way, and I think there's something new to work with, like a deeper way to work with resistance, I guess. What shows up, where he points out that my kid's about to interrupt. That the obstruction and the one who feels obstructed appear simultaneously. But the thing that I came to is, so I have shame around any time I have an avoidance behavior, which shows up a lot. There's shame around that because it feels like a regression. But I realized that, at least in that moment, I noticed of like dipping into how does that feel? And seeing in that moment that there needs to be a full acceptance of the person, of the behavior of avoidance. Um, because of course the shame and the avoidance behavior fuel each other. And that feeling of failure, um, it's avoiding that feeling that drives the behavior. Um, so it's so funny how it drives itself simultaneously. Um, but it's just accepting that the nervous system can only. I'm not in a place of stillness constantly, and it's okay. I'm, taming an unstill creature, I guess. Nervous system of any sort is a process, and it's a building of stamina, and it's okay that I can acknowledge that I'm simultaneously getting better and having, living in realization, but also working on it, and that's okay. It's not like every failure is just, so accepting failure, those little failures that actually are part of the growth, and not, even if I'm feeling shame, accepting that, just accepting this process more, and also uh, being more fearless about the effects of avoidance, and not being like, well, if I do this, it means that I'm doing this and I'm regressing them. Putting down all that fear about avoidance and dipping into, if avoidance is what's happening, dipping into that. And the release of the should or shouldn't around that can facilitate dissolving it. It's tempting to package this as a successful day with all of this practice of stillness and coming to this kind of small explosion. Um, but packaging things in general is it's a need to find progression where there is none, because it has just been a moment to moment experience. And after I turn off this camera, it's going to continue to be the next, now. But I feel a little better just having walked up to that, because it feels like a release, a potential um, way forward. And it can be a good reminder for when I feel stuck, of like, lean into this. Yeah. It's been interesting having this downtime of just being sick and tired for 3 straight days. And Cheyenne's kind of with on board with that energy. And it was just a very quiet day today and exactly what's needed. And I like that there's not the impulse to fill that space and to just make sure I'm checking in with Shy and make sure she has everything she needs. And then just if rest is happening, to just do it. So it's been a good day.
I love you.
I love you. On that note, good night.